If you've ever sent a proposal that went into a black hole, if you've ever had a deal go silent after what felt like a great meeting, or if you've lost to a competitor and thought, I don't understand, we were clearly the better option, then there is a pattern. Hi, I'm James Summers, and over the last decade, I've worked with hundreds of B2B sales teams from startups to scale-ups, and I can tell you this with absolute certainty. Most complex sales aren't lost because of your product. They're not lost because of your price. They're lost because of 7 red flags, often invisible, in your sales process that quietly kill deals before they ever get to the finish line. Today, I'm going to show you exactly what those red flags are, why they're so deadly, and most importantly, how to spot them in your own pipeline. So let's dive in. So red flag number 1, the email and hope proposal strategy. Here's what this looks like. You've had discovery calls, the prospect seems interested, they ask for a proposal, and you spend hours crafting the perfect document, comprehensive, detailed, price to win, and then you email it over with a note that says, attached is the proposal we discussed. Let me know if you have any questions. And then silence. You follow up, maybe you get a still reviewing internally response, maybe you get ghosted entirely. Here's why this is such a disaster. Proposals don't close deals, conversations close deals. The only place that you can win a sale is in the sales conversation. The moment that you email that document and you walk away, you've handed over control. That PDF is now being forwarded to people you've never met. It's being reviewed without you there to handle objections. Someone in finance is circling the price. Someone in operations is questioning the timeline. And even those silent objections, that initial reaction, the first time somebody opens that document and looks at it, the thoughts that they're having, you're not there to witness that. You're not there to handle that. So you're sitting there hoping, and the fix is brutally simple. Never, and I mean never, send a proposal without scheduling a meeting to walk them through it. When they say, can you send that over? You say, absolutely. I want to make sure I explain this clearly and answer any questions in real time. Can we book 30 minutes tomorrow afternoon so I can walk you through it? If they won't give you 30 minutes to review a proposal, then they were never going to buy. You just saved yourself hours of proposal creation and weeks of follow-up emails. Control the narrative. Be in the room when the decisions are made. Okay, so red flag number 2, shallow discovery. Most salespeople stop asking questions the moment they have enough information to put together a quote. The prospect says, we need a CRM for 20 users, and you immediately start thinking about pricing and features because you have a price set, a data set that allows you to quote for 20 users. But here's the problem. Facts, like 20 users, facts allow you to quote, but only problems with specific pain points that cost your prospect time and money allow you to sell. Facts allow you to quote, problems allow you to sell. If you don't understand the root cause, the actual pain they're experiencing, then you don't know what you're selling. You're selling a nice to have, and nice to haves get deprioritized the moment something more urgent shows up. Now, here's what deep discovery sounds like. You might ask, why now? What's changed that makes this a priority today versus 6 months ago? You might ask, what happens if you don't solve this in the next quarter? What does this cost you in time, money, or risk? You might ask, who's feeling this pain the most in the business, and what's it doing to their day to day? You're not collecting specs with these questions. You're diagnosing the pain. And when you can quantify that pain, when you can say, so this is costing you approximately 80 grand a year in lost productivity, now you're selling something. You're selling a return on investment. You're not just selling software or whatever it is you sell. Shallow discovery gets you into price wars. Deep discovery, deep diagnosis gets you into value conversations, and your job is value creation. Ultimately, remember this: small problems attract small money to solve, and eventually no money. They get deprioritized because something else is important, because they can live with it. If a customer can live with it, they will. Just because they're curious enough to take up your time doesn't mean they'll buy it. But big problems attract big money. Okay, red flag number 3, the single-threaded relationship. You have a great relationship with a primary contact in your prospect. They love you. They're your internal champion. And then one day, they stop replying. Maybe they got busy. Maybe they lost political capital internally. Maybe they got promoted, moved somewhere else. Maybe they left the company. I'm sure we've all experienced that. And then just like that, your deal is dead. Now, here's the reality of modern B2B buying. Research shows that an average of 7 to 12 people are involved in a complex purchase decision. It can get significantly higher as you involve more departments, particularly if there's an IT involvement. If you only know one person, then you're flying blind. Even if you only know 2 or 3 people, that's still, relatively speaking, flying blind. You don't know or you may not know who the real economic buyer is, the person who can actually sign off on your budget. Perhaps you don't know who the skeptic is, that person who's going to quietly torpedo your deal in an internal meeting that you were never invited to. You don't know who the end users are, the people who'll have to live with your solution every day. Now, here's the fix. Early in the sales process, be asking who else will be involved in evaluating and approving this decision, and perhaps even who will be using this solution, because there might be a representative of that group of people that you want to be in constant communication with as well. And then request to meet them, get them on a group call, present to the wider team, because if you can't get access to the other stakeholders, that's not a relationship problem. That's a signal that your main contact doesn't have the influence that you thought they did. Multi-thread your deals. One point of contact means one point of failure. And true multi-threading is not just having multiple contacts on the prospect side of the equation. It works best when you have multiple people involved on your side too. And that's how you turn that multi-thread into a true multi-lock. Red flag number 4, pitching too early or pitching too eagerly. Most salespeople show up to the first meeting and immediately launch into, let me tell you about our company, here's what we do, here are our features. They show up and throw up. And the prospect is thinking, I've already read all of this on your website, you're wasting my time. Here's the brutal truth. Modern B2B buyers are already 70% of the way through their research before they ever talk to you. If all you do is repeat what they've already read online or what they already know or what they've already found out from one of your competitors, then you're not adding value and you don't get money for not adding value. Remember, you're a guest in their buying process. We need to turn this around so that you also become a guide. Elite sellers take a completely different approach. They open with provocative insights or questions that make the prospect think differently. Something like, we work with a lot of companies in your space, and the number one we see them struggling with right now is issue X. Is that showing up for you? Or before I jump into what we do, help me understand what's driving this conversation right now. What's changed for you or your business recently? The point here is that you want to lead with insight and enable your prospect to develop insight. This takes you from a guest to a guide. You're proving you understand their world better than they do, which you do. You work with and sell and hopefully implement successfully your product or solution all day, every day. They only maybe do it once every 5 years cycle that they need to change something in their business. So you are an expert. The challenge is to bring that expertise to the table early in the sales conversation, and that's what earns you the right to guide the decision. If you lead with product, you're a vendor. If you lead with insight, you're a trusted advisor, and trusted advisors win deals. Vendors get commoditized. Okay, red flag number 5, no co-creation. Here's a question for you. When you present your proposal, does it feel like your solution for them, or does it feel like our plan that you built together? Because there's a massive psychological difference. Buyers trust what they help create. If you disappear after discovery, build a proposal in isolation, and then present it as a finished product, you've spent hours on it, polished it, well, the prospect feels no ownership. It's easy for them to say no. It's easy for them to pick it apart. It's easy for them to shop it around to your competitors. But if you involve them in the design process, if you do it as a process of co-creation, if you ask questions like, what would need to be true for this to be a no-brainer for you? If we could only solve one thing in the next 90 days, what would have the biggest impact? How would you prioritize these options? Can we collaborate and co-create an implementation plan for launching this? Then you visibly incorporate all of their answers into your proposal, and something powerful happens. When you present it, they see their ideas, their priorities, their language, and psychologically, they've already bought in because they helped build it. The best proposals aren't presentations. They're simply confirmations of a plan that you built together. Stop working in isolation. Bring your future client into the design process. Okay, red flag number 6, missing ROI, both rational and emotional. Most salespeople build a business case. And if you're not, then I'm sure you realize already that you must build a business case. And what you're doing with that is you're quantifying the business ROI. You show the cost savings or the revenue uplift. And that's necessary, but not sufficient, because here's what most people miss. The rational ROI gets you board approval. But emotional ROI gets you the powerful, strong, aligned yes. Let me explain. A buyer is a human being after all. They have career goals, they have frustrations, they have late nights, and they have stressful conversations they want to avoid. If your solution only solves a business problem, such as this will solve the company 100K a year, that's good. That will get you approval, certainly needed for larger transactions. That will get you approval from that economic buyer, the decision maker, or maybe the CEO, whoever is going to sign off on the financials. They only care about the rational ROI. But if your solution also solves a personal problem for the buyer, if it gets them home on time instead of staying late fixing broken processes, if it gets them recognized for driving innovation, if it removes the thing keeping them up at night, that's what drives urgency. Your job is to uncover both the rational and the emotional. Ask, what does success look like for you personally if we get this right? What happens to your day-to-day if this problem isn't solved? Then make sure your proposal explicitly connects your solution to both the business metrics and the personal outcome they want. Numbers get you to the table. Emotion is often what gets you the signature. Okay, finally, red flag number 7. The ball is in their court. So you've had a great meeting, good energy, prospect engaged, and then you say, great, let me know what you think. Or I'll wait to hear for you on next steps. And then you hang up. Congratulations, you've just killed your own deal. Now, here's the truth about complex sales. They are a series of mini commitments, small yeses that build towards the big yes. Every time you leave a meeting without booking the next concrete step, then momentum dies. The prospect gets busy, other priorities show up, your deal goes from active to we'll circle back later, which is sales code for never. The fix is a simple principle I call BAMFAM, BAMFAM, BAMFAM. Book a meeting from a meeting. Before you hang up, you say, this has been really valuable. What makes sense for the next steps? Can we book in 30 minutes next Thursday to review X, whatever it might be, with your CFO or to take those next steps? If they hesitate, if they say, well, let me check my calendar and get back to you, or if they just say no, then it's not a calendar issue, it's a commitment issue, and then you can address that commitment issue directly. Of course, just so I understand, is there something making you hesitant to lock in the next steps? I want to make sure we're aligned. Because if they won't commit to a 30-minute follow-up, they're not going to commit to a 6-figure purchase. Control the process, lock in the next step every single time. Elite salespeople are ahead of the curve on this. Right at the beginning of the complex sales process, book a recurring, standing weekly meeting with the prospect, including multiple stakeholders, to ensure a rhythm and momentum to support the sales process. And that's easy to set up. Most prospects will think that's a great idea. It shows engagement from you. And of course, it also brings evidence that there is engagement from them. And you softly say, well, look, if we don't, we'll put it in weekly on a Tuesday. And if we see no reason to have the Tuesday meeting, we won't have it. But that means every single week, you've got to at least have an email with the other person to say, this is the agenda for the coming Tuesday meeting, or we don't need it. That's still communication. That's still momentum. So create that rhythm, create that momentum. Either put in a regular weekly meeting with your client, if suitable, to keep the sales process going, or at the very least, BAMFAM. Make sure at the end of every meeting, you secure the spoken engagement and next steps to get on the next meeting. If there are no clear next steps, do not expect them to be emailing you after the meeting. It will be you chasing them. Okay, so there you have it. 7 red flags that are quietly killing your complex sales: email and hope proposals, shallow discovery, single-threaded relationships, pitching too early or too eagerly, no co-creation with your proposals, missing rational and emotional ROI, and leaving the ball in their court. Now, here's the good news. Every single one of these is fixable, and they're actually quite easy to fix once you spot them. They're really just blind spots, and they all have massive upside potential. Solve number 1 alone, never emailing a proposal without a meeting, will increase your conversion rates, I guarantee it. So these 7 red flags and their solutions are not about talent or charisma. They're just about process. They're about having a repeatable system that guides you through the chaos of a complex sale. Below this video, I've put together a diagnostic scorecard that will help you identify exactly where your leaks are and what to fix first. Access it below, score yourself honestly, and then take action. Because here's the truth. You are not losing deals because your competitors are better. You are losing deals because your process has gaps. Fix the gaps, win more deals, and let's get to work.